All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Rational Investor.co's. This is, I guess, our weekend offering. Brian's in the saddle on his own. In fact, actually, Thomas was telling me that he's set up for us tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, Sen and Shane, maybe. Thomas went out of his way, or Dav. Oh, hey, Thomas. It was Dav. Is that who it was? We're going to, Thomas set him up so that they would come and help me talk to the rest of the community about risk management. You have a Dav talk to us about that? Okay. I scratched my head there a little bit. No, just kidding. Oh, security. Okay, that makes more sense. Dav the other day was like, fuck fundamental analysis. I'm just going off the charts. I'm just kidding, Dav. I'm sure you learned risk management. Actually, I remember when Dav first started with us, I think that was one of his issues. And once he got his head wrapped around that, he seemed to, his performance really kicked in. And, I mean, hey, let's call a spade a spade. If you want to just run little old lady strategy and just keep the bets really, really small, there's so much money to be made here. And especially when these stupid things go like 5x, 10x, 20x. I mean, the numbers just are insane. And actually, it's a good thing for all you guys, especially new level oneers. We finally made it through the winter. Fuck, that was brutal winter. And we just have sort of the first signs of spring. It's interesting how the weather, from what I understand, is still pretty crappy back east. But what's also really odd is, if I'm not mistaken, in Western Europe right now, they're going through like a heat wave. So, I suppose with the changing of the generational cycles, Jupiter-Saturn cross 2020. Why don't we throw in some crazy-ass weather while we're at it, just to make everybody party. Change Society, where are you, Change Society? Obviously, you're not in Vancouver. Germany. Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah, Sjord was saying that he saw it was like 28 degrees in Netherlands. Like, Jesus. Anyway, all right. So, where should we begin today? What's sort of a fun conversation? Obviously, this is sort of our weekend, so we don't necessarily need to go into broader market too much. Crypto tastes great. We've just been watching this sort of ebb and flow from the broader market, just a general sort of flow back into crypto. It's interesting. Thomas was telling us, and actually there was a tweet that I put out. There's like 10-part tweet that we should sort of be, if alts are really back, we should be really keeping a close eye on Ethereum as sort of a nice, like, sort of alt proxy. It used to be way back when Litecoin was the ultimate sort of altcoin proxy. I've always had a special place in my heart for Litecoin, but I suppose if Charlie won't come out and say that he's full balls, balls to the wall back in on Litecoin long, then I can understand why maybe it's going to lag a little bit. But we are seeing, some nice leadership out of Ethereum. And that I think sort of speaks to that sort of like alts are back kind of mentality in the market. I would probably, if I was going to sort of classify this current market state, I think it's sort of dead cat bounce. We've gone through just a pretty nasty winter, like I said just a moment ago. Phew, thank goodness. For at least for the time being, the pressure has abated. We've been talking sort of about, and actually I was kind of mentioning this in the lounge the other day, and I think it's pretty important. At any given point in time, you always have to ask yourself, who is buying? Who is selling? And as we go through, and this is fairly lengthy now, it's a good like 4 or some odd months, right? Yeah. Let's say the better part of 4 months. We have to understand that at some point, if there were sellers, those sellers are just going to simply exhaust themselves. They're just going to run out of stuff to sell. And then if we start hearing sort of anecdotal evidence that people that were negative and that were bearish aren't so much anymore, then we really have to ask ourselves, who's actually selling? And what's really weird about markets like this is you get into this funny little phase here now where if you talk to anybody in the public, and especially media, because they don't know what the fuck they're thinking, they're just going to be looking at the chart from this perspective, and they're going to be like, oh, this is really risky. Oh, no, this is a nightmare. Oh, no, you're going to lose money. And what's odd is that this is actually when markets like to rally, as long as the public is sort of, no way, man. Oh, that's super risky. No, you don't want to be involved in that. You might call it, like I said just a moment ago, a dead cat bounce. You don't know how high this bounce is. But also another way to look at this is they call it climbing the wall of worry. And interestingly enough, this thing will continue to keep climbing as long as the tone out there is, fairly cautionary, especially from the talking heads, and people in media go, oh, you're investing in Bitcoin. Oh, you sucker. Oh, man, you must be underwater. Right. But what they don't understand is new money coming in here. I would actually argue this is a fucking incredible buy. And relatively low risk. But you also remember, guys, and you guys are on the site all the time, right? This was high anxiety. You could, like, we were even joking in the lounge, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before. You could almost feel the tension. It was like literally palatable. And, the reason why I like to follow this Japanese yen chart as closely as I do is because, other than the people that made a whole bunch of money buying down here and are liquidating up here at a profit, the question ultimately is when we get back down into these areas, who's selling? I mean, obviously the public, because, they always sell the bottom. So, it shouldn't surprise us as we're coming down here, lots of doom and gloom out of Twitter kind of people. But, what I was most concerned with is there was an institutional player that was, and he still does have a lot of coins to sell. And, the resolution, I think, out of this and why the market popped up here is I think basically he's been told to, cool it. And the whole market just felt just incredibly depressed. And hell, I mean, even I was feeling depressed, man. We topped out when Bitcoin was up here at like 750 grand. And by the time we're down here, we're back down to like 200-300 grand. We've given up a hell of a lot of gains. The interesting thing, of course, is that these are all paper gains and losses. And if you play in the venture cap speculative game, you got to understand, paper losses and paper profits don't mean anything. The only thing that matters is what's actually a booked profit or loss. So I find it amusing that even just on the bounce back up to here, when I did the weekend accounting, we're back above, like, I think our number came to about 430 or something like that. Let's see where we are here. The magic number 435, 89, 31. So we're back above 400. Feeling pretty good about our crypto portfolio. And really, I can't complain considering we started with $500. But, at this point here, and this is what I was sort of saying in the lounge, which kind of worries me a little bit, is I get the feeling that they're moving the market up, but at the same time, I'm worried that this really isn't the best place to be a buyer, and it's a bit dangerous. As this chart sort of illustrates, for those people that were playing this harmonic pattern, ironically enough, we've actually come into a profit-taking location. So it shouldn't surprise us that the market ran into a bit of resistance there. It is interesting how on the pullback here, they just had no interest whatsoever in even bringing the price down into these levels. I guess what that kind of says to me is that if we do M out here, this could turn into pretty nasty resistance going forward. We are up against these previous highs. And really what I want to see is I want to see them just go and break out through the top here and just basically negate this as a top. And I do find it interesting that we've been sitting in a lounge talking about like Stamp and Phoenix and stuff like that. But these Japanese, they're just sort of sitting there on their hands. They're not really too bullish. They're not too bearish. They're just sort of waiting. And I wonder if we have to wait for them to come back tonight before we actually see what their true hand is. If we look on the lower time frame, right, looking at Japan again, we've had lots of sort of, she wants to get up above here, but for some reason we get up into this area and she just stalls. So I'm a little worried, a little leery. I would have really liked to have just seen the market blast off. I suppose, it's interesting off a 5-minute chart. We're just having some fun on a 4-hour candle close. On other market, we were sort of, I think Stamp, we'll look at it in a bit. We were sort of musing about how this, bull bear battle lines, they look slightly different on the, I think it was Phoenix we were looking at, how this was going to resolve. And it's interesting. I think you could probably draw bull bear battle lines off of this range, and really how this resolves is definitely going to sort of lead the tell. It would really suck if we rallied up into here and there's just too much resistance. We, fractal out here and this becomes a fail. It hasn't yet, so that's good. But we should be cognizant of this. Yeah, it's getting a bit dangerous. And when we look at other things in the market, we'll see that a bit more. So as I said earlier, it's a terrible place to think about going and buying here. But at the same time, if they pop her up here, I could very easily see another leg higher. It was interesting looking off of the lower time frames. I think there were sort of, and I guess there's more anecdotal evidence of, uppy. We were watching this OK coin earlier. I know for certain, who is sitting there going, something's not right here, Bilbo. And, if we get that failure on that 4-hour candle, we were watching the last 4-hour candle, and I was really curious to see whether volume would break out here. It didn't really break out in earnest, which was kind of disappointing here. This high here, we had 3.185, and we did 3.031. So no breakout to new highs. OBV did give us a little bit of a W here off of this price action in here. And also, you could argue Willie is giving us WE action. So I can't understand the Davo. But Willie's stupid. Jesus, gives me heebie-jeebies. And the fact that we got this big old fat potential divergence sitting here on OK Coin, it hasn't been confirmed yet. So it's completely understandable. We can't call a top until that does come in. And, of course, if we change this to a line chart, right, whoops. If we change this to a line chart, and I posted this in the lounge, higher highs and higher lows defines a bull market. All right, so, I mean, you can't really call a top here. It's not in there yet. But this is getting awfully nosebleedy. I really don't like the smell of this. It feels like there needs to be one more sort of blow-off move up here, which maybe even creates another, like a double divergence. But this is feeling awfully dangerous up here to me, guys. I mean, like I said, it's too late to be a buyer, but I think it's still too early to be a seller. That's sort of what I'm thinking about right now. Suppose when we look across the board, like I said, you can see higher highs on the tether. It looks to me like OK Coin off of sort of higher time frames. This is looking at the daily chart now. We're making higher highs on RSI, so momentum. There's no signs of divergence there. I don't see why this AB equals CD can't be hit, and that'll just take us up against this trend channel. Really, hey, China Tim, are you here, China Tim? Anytime I see a channel like this, I think of China Tim now. But can you see the power of the channel? All I did was just say, okay, well, there is the price action, the structure, and then just simply pulled the channel back up to whatever the previous high was. And do you see how A, B, C, D, that's literally going to take us right into that same level. And, the old saying, and then we went after this stop, so I got a funny feeling there's some juicy liquidity pools just sitting right up in here that, the market is so close to those levels, I can't see the market not hitting those. Right? That to me seems perfectly logical. And also, too, this is also the original market structure top level. If anybody had missed this trade previously, well, it gives them the opportunity to put the trade on again. But at the same time, too, like I said, we don't have a divergence here just yet. So again, I think it's still a little bit too early to be thinking short. And unfortunately, I mean, just off of this tether, everybody can see the W here. We're way, way, way too late to be a buyer. It's interesting. We were watching the lower time frame charts, and I think the one thing that pisses me off about all of this is the coin that's really outperforming here amongst the senior names is this son of a bitch. So, here is a fantastic example of the Ron Jeremy, Leanne, LJ, whatever we want to call it, trend line break setup. Just a really good example where we had a trend line that was traded to once, twice, 3 times, breaks it, consolidation, breakout structure. Just go with the W and see where the wind blows you. And of course, 50% rule just of this range alone is right here. I suppose we could even, call me crazy, even have that as a technical objective. I don't see any reason why that can't be hit, which probably produces an even crazier risk reward, right? I mean, wow. Now we used to have a member of the site, Greg Pop, who used to say, I only trade setups that have a minimum of a 5-to-1 risk reward. So can everybody see? And remember our big hairy ones trade? The big hairy ones trade's still working. I couldn't believe that. Where's the big hairy ones? Big hairy ones is going to get totally paid here, man. Look at this HADA, right? Now, I mean, again, you just don't know in trading, right? Maybe you say, all right, I'm going to use, and this is using this crazy ass 50% roll. But just the fractal alone, right? And that was just a massive fractal. There's 2-to-1. So, hey, he's slowly working his way up into that level. I suppose you could argue, you could call me crazy, especially since there's a gap there. You could use that 50% roll as an 8-to-1 risk reward. And then, of course, as we said just a moment ago, well, actually, we didn't say, but nonetheless, lots and lots of sort of anecdotal support of hunting for trade setups all through this fractal bottom. Really interesting levels, double bottoms, empires, the whole spiel. Such a great example. And, there it goes. So, I think the market is working its way higher. It just feels that way. There's lots of inertia to the upside. I think Julian put on a long, which is I was a bit surprised, but nonetheless, he's hunting longs here. I think his RSI model, and you can see just I think this is RSI that we have on here. Yeah, this is the out-of-the-box RSI. I mean, off the higher time frames, you can definitely see the WE action here. So, I mean, it's understandable. I think off of yeah, I don't even want to mention it, but this son of a bitch is rallying. Traders got to trade. And I thought it was interesting. I was bitching at somebody on Twitter or whatever, Facebook or whatever it was, saying that even a broken clock is right at least a couple times a day. And if you sit on CNBC and you keep touting and touting and touting and touting and touting, eventually you're going to be right. We used to always find that funny with the fundamental analysts, right? Because the fundamentalists, they don't like timing the market. That's meaningless to them. So they just, they'll keep pitching the bull, pitching the bull, pitching the bull. And then every once in a while, the chart sets up and then you throw him in there and go, and see, this is why the fundamentally is going to run. But really, the whole reason is technical. But anyway, I'm having fun. And that's sort of what Dav was saying. But I don't want new people to take trading so laissez-faire, right? It's really important, especially in this space, not to be able to identify a scam and to be able to identify a fundamentally weak story. Super important, right? So while, veterans like Dav who sort of already intuitively know what a scam looks like, know suspect ideas, and they've traded so many coins that when a lot of the coins come back down into levels, it's like, all right, I've already traded this a couple times. I know exactly what's going on here. that's him. But for new people to trading, I don't think it's in your best interest to take such a laissez-faire attitude. I think you really should take the time and get to know the story and try and, if you're going to, and most coins that we trade, like on CoinMarketCap, most of them cut the mustard. Like, all right, I think we can make a half decent reason why you want to participate. So take advantage of the community, right? If you're just about to invest your hard-earned money and you're like, geez, I don't know, just throw the idea by the community and you never know. Guy like Grim will go, fucking hey, man, that thing's awesome. Buy me 10,000 in the market now. Oh, I see that offer to 10, 20. Okay, take 10 of those. I want 5 of those. Take them filled. Okay, I want those. Give me those. All right, sold. And then you turn around and the damn thing's up 20%. What the fuck? So you never know. I'm having fun with you guys. It's kind of an interesting. Geez, I didn't get any reply at anybody on that. I thought you guys would have found that funny. Oh well. I guess you can please some of the people some of the time. But you can't please all of them all the time. Let's see. What else can we talk about here today? Did have some interesting price action set up for those lower time frame traders. You can see a nice little bot set up here on OKCoin off the hourlies. It's interesting. We got into this sort of area here where you move your stop to scratch and price just went absolutely nuts. And Thomas was sort of suggesting that he didn't really see a lot of sell side pressure. And that just sort of led me to believe that we're in sort of one of these fuck you type markets. And, if you want to try and learn from the veterans, I mean, Thomas has invested a lot of time in studying the DOM and studying price action, studying sort of buy side, sell side. It wouldn't surprise me that what they're really doing here is they're just trying to flush out all the weak hands before they get ready for another one of these kind of candles. So that wouldn't surprise me one bit that these bot levels are actually traded to. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But if you had traded this, just based on our rules, you probably would have been best just to walk away at scratch. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. It's a trader's life. You never know. This thing might just go right, and then you're like, "Whoo, sure, I'm glad I did that." So I guess that's sort of what I'm seeing off the shorter time frame. Actually, before we started recording, I was just monkeying around with my Gann charts a little bit. And something sort of jumped out at me here, which I was a little surprised at. And then we actually changed the down study off of this initial reaction high down to this low. And I was quite, I have seen this recently where price came down to this speed bump, the top of the arc, and we're just basically battling right along the arc. And I noticed that along that arc battle was basically a 45-degree angle resolution, and it did it very politely. You see that? Right up to that level, nice little doji. Do I want to be here? Yeah, okay. And then a nice little market structure acceptance of that level, and up we go. And you can see that we have a little mini down arc off of this low. You can see that that's coming up here at about 95, 9,600 or so, which I think is going to be basically a test of these highs and these highs. And then we're going to head into what looks like a speed bump, right? And this is not only the upper arc, how do we say this? The upward pointing arc off of the down study, but it's also the downward pointing arc off of the up study. This is quite a confluence right here. And if anything, we were talking about how, they're washing the market, getting ready for a nice flush. I could easily see we have this big one green candle, right? Nice little, sort of doji type candle, and then pop, right? Maybe even tonight into Asian or American or European kill zones. Off the other charts, we were talking about how there's a liquidity pool right here. I could very easily see, and then we went after the stops There's lots of juicy ammunition for guys just to say, oh, what the hell? I'll go and buy here. And the buy on stop order, I will sell into that buy on stop order. So just try and see if I can grab a quick chunk of the market here. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. I think, guys, if we do get up, I think these guys are very vulnerable. All right, can everybody see my chart? And this is off a stamp. Should probably make a reference to that. That's 91.88. I think those guys are extremely vulnerable. And if we think, top of the arc, I think what it means is the market's probably going to want to come up into these. This wick right up in here. And if I'm not mistaken, we threw on sand script. Gotta love sand. And actually, that reminds me, we should probably make reference to that. The deadline to get the exam in was for the level 1 was supposed to be the end of the month. San has told us that he is living on his round. I think he likes to travel around Europe through the spring and summer. He is leaving for that trip in the first week of May. So I think what we're going to have to do is we'll have the deadline for the 30th, and since it's autocorrect, we're going to know exactly who passed and who failed and who got the top marks the 1st of May. And we should probably make plans. And San, if you watch this later on, maybe touch base with me. We should probably make plans that we're going to announce the winners of, and I think it's going to have to be a raffle because we have so many people who got perfect scores on that exam, which I've never seen before. So I think we're going to have to maybe do like a special Wednesday session or something along those lines with San, and a raffle to announce the winner of his scholarship. So, and congratulations to everybody who put the time and effort in to get 100% on the exam. I mean, that the irony of it all is you're thinking about it in the short term to try and win $1,000, but it might just serve you that you go and make like $1 billion with his information because you took the time and effort to get a really good score. So go figure. Jonas, well, again, Jonas, the fact that you did so well means to me that you are going to do well with this information the rest of your life. Yeah. So that's a good thing, I think. So just a heads up, and Sen, if you're watching, maybe we'll have like sort of a preview 25th of April with sort of the big show on, say, the 2nd of May. That would be ideal for me, but you let me know what your schedule looks like. Okay, Chief? Okay, so back to our conversation here. Looking at Sen's script, we noticed, thank you, Sen, for writing the script. We had a gap right here, which has been filled. We also have a gap right here, which has not. So on top of liquidity pools and Gann angles and arcs, I think we can make a realistic argument that there's a gap to be filled in right around 9,900. Oh, gee whiz, what a coincidence, right? Maybe we zip up and kiss 10,000 and then have to come back and consolidate a bit through the speed bump. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here in the short term. Liquidity push, and then can they run this liquidity pool way up into here? But anything beyond here, I think we're probably asking a bit much. I think also, too, we had a pretty big bot. Well, Brian's got a big butt, but that's another conversation altogether. Yeah, okay, so here was this bot working off of OKCoin, which also takes us up into 9,600 area. I think that's probably realistic here in the short term, right up against those levels. On the OKCoin forwards, I also noticed too, and I was pleased to see this. Let's see if I can show you it. Not there. Here. The spreads are slowly trying to turn here. Now, as Thomas had rightly said, we can't get too excited about this until it breaks out through here. But I like what I'm seeing. They basically brought the market down into reload zone. And it's so odd when you see that spreads themselves also obey these fibs. That's where it's sort of the universe shit gets really freaky. Why would a spread also obey these statistical measures? But long and short of it here is you should be able to see that this was a reload zone, and seeing reversals off of this bottom here shouldn't surprise anybody. And really long and short of it here is if we get any sort of premium coming into the futures market, I think this thing's got room to run here. And then, of course, if you see this thing print and then roll over and make an M, then we're back in the shitter. But no shitter right now, so that's encouraging. I suppose we ought to talk about altcoins. As our sort of index shows, altcoins have been having a pretty precipitous rally off of their lows. Jeremy and Thomas and stuff, they're all putting out those different altcoin indexes. You can see that W there. I think on a lot of those proxies, we've seen, those W's come in. We've been talking sort of recently about Ethereum. I'd like to see Litecoin lead, but, I suppose if Charlie isn't intimately involved in this story, it's just another altcoin. And I'm hearing, the interesting thing about Vitalik, and I think I mentioned this recently, since he did that sort of stunt at that Coin Fest thing or whatever, do you notice that people are back in love with him again? You notice that? The tone around him since that event, and somebody find me, what was the date of that event so we can put it right on the chart here? Somebody, Shane, you probably know that date. Graham, you know that date. Benjamin, you're perfect at that kind of stuff. Somebody, April 2nd, eh? Wouldn't that be funny if that was like right here, right? But I just noticed the tone around people's attitude around Vitalik has changed. And maybe, even my personal perception of him, I think, has changed as well. So, it looks to me like this AB equals CD could probably take us up even, probably another 50, $100 or so. You can see where the double bottom is. It's awfully tough. I've said this a few times now. It's very difficult to justify buying here. I do like, the whole sort of conversation of Ethereum versus Bitcoin as sort of a proxy for the, alt market versus Bitcoin market. I think we could make the argument, just like we've seen on a number of these things, that this is sort of dead cat bouncy. You can see where 38.2 is. It's about $750, and that all that's going to do is take us right back into the original double top fail level. This is sort of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. There's a dead cat bounce. We might, if we're lucky, bounce all the way right back up to here. And if that's the case, that's a big assumption right now. But if it is the case, then maybe we're looking at something just massive here, which really wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if crypto really takes off here, my hunch is that McAfee's talk about $100,000 Bitcoin and stuff. If that kind of scenario does play out, then there's no reason whatsoever why I wouldn't expect this thing to be at new highs. It'll look something like this. If we just take the rough symmetry, this might happen faster than expected, maybe even something like that. We should find out if there's any sort of Ethereum sort of, group orgies or anything that happened here in May. And then maybe some sort of, sell in May and walk away kind of pivot in June, July, which sort of sets up a late summer, very typical sort of July kind of peak where they're actually going to take this thing to new highs. That wouldn't surprise me at all here, folks. You want to see something really freaky that'll just blow you away? There's no reason, and this is where Jeremy starts to get all excited. There's no reason why we cannot, and I've seen it happen repeatedly in crypto, guys. I've seen it happen so many times. There's no reason why we can't Do something like that. And the funny thing is you'll look back when this does happen. What is that? It's $2,500. That would be like, you know, Bitcoin goes to like, you know, $100,000, whatever. I suppose, you know, just on a similar basis, right? 2,800, right, would be double that high. So maybe Bitcoin goes to like 50 grand, 40 grand, whatever. We could easily see this thing here. It might take this long, right? And if we sort of do, you know, time windows, we should probably publish this because this probably isn't really that bad of a projection. Let's go there to there. And then we'll go there to there. So there you go. So we're going to make the call. we'll say 2,500. That probably seems realistic. Nice big fat round number for August. Yeah. July, August. What do you think, guys? Could any of you live with that? Right into there. And that would totally, you know, the interesting thing is that Jeremy's, this has been his thesis all along. Yeah. See now, Zach, if you haven't taken the opportunity to load up, you know, if this does happen, man, you're going to be one pissed off motherfucker if that happens, eh? So what do you think? That's kind of an interesting forecast, eh? So just for fun, somebody journal this. What did I learn today? I learned that Brian's totally insane. I'll throw it in the lounge. Or let's see if that happens into the late summer. I really wouldn't be surprised. All right. Where should we go next? Altcoins, tastes great. Altcoins. Can't wait. How ironic, eh? And this is such a great example of you just never know in the market. It's tempting to go back and buy back some of our coins that we sold on the way up. So I'm not quite sure what the fundamental drivers are here. The interesting thing is at 886 here, all you need is a move. And really, you don't even need that much, right? You just need a move to there. Let's say right in, say 17. Well, 8, 9. So let's say 18, right? So right into there to actually get a free position. Do you think that's at all realistic over the next 6 months to see that thing go from where it is now to that yellow line? And that's, you know, that's really what, well, but that's the irony of it all, Jonas. And this is why Dav, I mean, you got to understand this coin, right? The last time we played this coin was when on the lead developer said, fuck you, I'm out of here. Right? And yeah, you had to sit there and wait a hell of a long time. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. So, you know, maybe you start stepping in and buying this thing, you know, but you tell me, are W's important? I mean, could you have generated a free position for yourself had you bought in here and used this rally to generate a free position? I think so. That's 37. That's 85. Yep. And then, of course, look at what the damn thing did down the road. You never know in this crazy space. There's no guarantees from the management whatsoever. But this is really actually now we get into sort of what they call opportunity cost and asymmetrical risk reward opportunities. Does it make sense, Jonas? I'll use you as a guinea pig. Does it make sense that we as technicians, we understand that there's a pretty good pretty good chance that there's going to be some sort of technical bounce. Certainly not expecting new highs. But at the same time, too, it's like how the universe sort of works. You can only stretch a rubber band so far, and then at some point there's got to be some sort of snapback. And as fund managers and really market participants, long-time market participants, my hunch is it might take some time, might happen into the end of the summer, right? My hunch is probably at some point we trade back to the 38.2. That's pretty good odds. So the irony of it all is, at 0.0008, so that's less than 0.001. The 38.2 just on its own here is at 0.007. So that's like almost like a tenfold, maybe about an eightfold, ninefold, just on a move back to here. Right? I'm not saying it's going to new highs. Odds are it's probably going back to 50% level, but let's use 38.2. So what that really means is, all right, if I go and throw $1 at this thing, I got a realistic shot that dollar could turn into $7 or $8. Even if this happens 1 in 7 times, 1 in 6 times, 1 in 5 times, 20%, 10% chance. Should I take that bet? The answer is as long as it's, lower than whatever that multiple is, we got to take that bet every day of the week. The weird thing is what I see happening here is if we zoom in on just this lower time frame, I think that what they've done is they've set up a trade here. We said that if you bought off of this level here, do you see, Jonas, the W that's here? Oh, hello. What a coincidence. I think Brian kind of likes those W things, eh? If you could force yourself to buy here, and notice, you can't even say that they didn't give you the opportunity. Notice that this is like total Wyckoff 101. Right, market breaks out, think of market process, they come back, they check the original breakout, and the guys that missed the trade, they all bought right here. Ching, 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 ching. Maybe you don't necessarily need to work your order here, but you could definitely work your order right against these candle body lows, and if you get in, great. If you don't, no big deal. Yeah, this is like total Thomas trade. He loves this shit. I didn't even know you're here, dude. But he loves the, speaking for him, right? You don't necessarily need to chase this up here. You just work your order at whatever the M or W is and just be patient. So interesting how when we did the math, even from these levels, right? Notice that there's that double level that generates that free trade. Do we have any expression about this kind of price action up here, Jonas? You ever heard us talk about this? What do we say about this kind of action up here? Lines are long. Well, we usually say that wicks and tails like to be eaten. So this, in essence, it's, what this is this is a whole bunch of the public that FOMO bought. They're sitting here and prices down here, and they're just going, oh, God, please bring market back here, and I'll sell this, and I'll never buy another one of these cryptos again, right? The interesting thing, though, is if we do a fib off of this low back up to this high, notice all our reload zones and shit start kicking in here, right? And this, this is probably ultimately what's probably going to happen is you notice 0.00066. What's twice that? That would be like, what, 0.0, well, what the hell? I'm not very smart with math, so let's try and do this. 0.0006678 times 2. Bang. 0.00133. Call it 0.00134. So where's that? 0.00134. Notice one of our buddies, and actually I think if I'm not mistaken, Thomas absolutely loves taking profits. Look at our buddy just sitting there waiting to hit this market. Bang. You see that, Jonas? So the double off of the actual market turn here is basically our mountain man level. You often hear Brian talk about the tops of candle bodies, right? You see that level in there. And this is going to be the froth, right? So, from current levels, do we get a frothy candle that gets up into here to give you a fill? Maybe, maybe not. I definitely think we're probably going to get your rally up into this area where the smart money that actually put this bottom in, they just want to generate a free trade for themselves. Cheeky bastards. So anyway, typical crypto. Welcome to the party. Nothing new here. But anyway, it's a good market. I like this type of market. Like these throwbacks are buying opportunities. Actually, I wanted to mention this with regard to Bitcoin. We did this for the level tours. It's one of the modules that we start off the level 2 program with. And that's learning how institutions use moving averages. And let's see if I can find the charts around here somewhere. Here it is. On most institutional order desks, and it sort of speaks to what I just said a moment ago, they'll use a simple moving average system to help them sort of position themselves correctly. And does it make sense that the fast moving average here crossed back below the slow moving average? And so all through this period, we want to be hunting shorts. And we just had, remember all my talk about the Japanese yen market and the motivated seller disappearing, blah, 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 blah. You can see the structural turn, and oh, gee whiz, now the institutional bias has also turned. So, as long as this is pointing up, fast moving average is above slow moving average, we have to, on balance, I think, be actually hunting longs. And we did lots of talk about where we expect the market to go here on Bitcoin over the short term. So same sort of thing here, right? You can see, if anything, 13 EMA, and I've actually told you guys this before, I love using 13 EMA checks. If you're like, missed the trade and like the market's sitting up here, remember this is a green candle at one point, and you're like, damn, I want to get in. Well, you can just simply use the 13 EMA and also 2 against the market structure, and it gave you your opportunity to get in right there on that check. I suppose if we drilled down to a lower time frame, we might be able to find like a bot set up here to try and sneak you in. But in essence, that's the kind of market that I think we're in right now, is you get to use checks of support as buying opportunities. And that's really important. There's been a dramatic change in market state here over the past, I'd say, through the better part of April here, the market state itself has changed, which is encouraging, right? It was a shitty winter there. It was just all down. So as I said recently here, congratulations on just making it through the winter. Way to go, team. You did it. And now is actually a really interesting window here. The public isn't totally on board yet. Prices perked up, don't chase. Let's now work our bids in reload zone, 78.6s. You want to get cheeky, 88.6s. Gaps, bottom of value, signs of divergence, nice little fractals. Like this is a trader's market. So I really want to see you guys really step up your game and start picking these lows off as they come in, and showing me that, hey, Brian, I picked up the double bottom breakout and I'm getting ready to spoon feed on a mountain man, because that's the way, pros really rock this shit. And I can absolutely guarantee you there's a guy licking honey off his paws right now in the lounge that does this on a daily basis. Okay, what else should we look at here today? This thing's going to pop as we speak here, cocksucker. Well, why don't we, let's see. When I do this, sometimes it doesn't. I've noticed, do you notice, like when I woke up this morning, it wasn't nearly as much green on the screen. I can see the buying pressure, and actually this is something that I noticed out of Bitcoin recently. In a weird sort of way, I don't think Bitcoin is moving up because people are buying Bitcoin. I actually think Bitcoin is moving up because so much money is moving into these silly altcoins. And this is an example, I think, and recently we saw this where the altcoins, into the 420, we had the pot coins rally into that event. Then on the event day, crapped out. Same thing with Verge, right? Big rally into its event day, crapped out. So what I'm seeing, and now I'm seeing like sort of a rotation. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know what the story is, but this EBST, there was a lot of talk recently that this thing was a piece of shit. Well, no, that doesn't look very piece of shitty to me. I mean, talk about a fucking trade. If anybody could get in on that double bottom, damn, mother, that's a stone cold honky. Airdrop 15th of May. Okay, so that's like almost a month away. This thing's going crazy. Oh, that sounds appropriate, I guess. All right, there you go. Well, there you go, Zach. And like I don't know whether I caught it recording, but I said before we started recording, I can't remember, maybe it was after. But I think we've made a believer out of Zach. But the interesting thing, Zach, is you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, if this thing gets going, just like I did off of that Ethereum chart, want to see something fun, Zach? You're gonna love this. There is no reason whatsoever, if this thing really gets going, that we can't see that kind of action. And the interesting thing is you play connect the dots, and the funny thing is that's not even into this wick. Can you see that? You want to make some money, punk? Do you? Do you? This is crazy. We're back to the, oh my God, fucking 10x, 100x stories again. The worst part about it, though, is I've only got like 0.1. Well, let's see where it is now. I think I got like 0.15 of it left on the books. 0.16 now. I wouldn't mind having a bit more, but oh well. Can't own them all. So, congratulations to anybody who had the balls to go in here and reload. I mean, it's so cliche after a while, guys. It's ridiculous. Everybody see the original W? All right, and this one kind of like a very Wyckovian fashion. This is way too far, way too fast. They just simply had to bring it right back down to the bottom, hit the reset button, and start the game all over again. Isn't that incredible? It's stunning when you actually see it in real time. You can't believe it, how cliche it is. Oh yeah, and it also had a launch pad set up too, didn't it? Yeah, good eye, Benjamin. So something for you guys to learn is when we get a nice little moving average cross, and then you get this sandwich between the 13, which is above the 30, and you see it came right up to the 200, basically parked itself right on the 200. So basically, if somebody said, yep, this thing's good to go, let's give it the green light, there's nothing standing in its way. Can you guys see that? So yeah, very good observation, Benjamin. So nothing standing in its way often translates into, holy Jesus, H Christ, what the hell are they doing? Crazy market. Up and down like a horse drawers. So my advice to you is I'll go look for, and actually maybe we should give that a new name, eh? The launch pad setup. Is that what we want to call it? I know Thomas was really interested in that. He was like, damn, I've never seen that before. Maybe, and we should probably even put like the little rocket icon on there. Where is the rocket ship? Rocket Man. I wonder how many people sing that song but get the words wrong. That sounds more like Tom Petty singing one of his songs. It is, because it's all right. Well, what happened there? I can't find the Rocket Man. Where the hell's the damn Rocket Man? Anyway, it's on here somewhere. But yeah, we should call, oh, there it is. We should call that the Launchpad setup. I like that. Anyway, I don't know whether we should have him on an angle. Should he sit like that? Isn't that, oh, so it's a little bit cockeyed. Anyway, something like that. And yep, there she goes. Oh, that's kind of cool. Why don't we print that off? And maybe we'll add that to the library later on. Oh, push. There we go. 2 rows above your mouse. Oh, yeah, okay, well, yeah, and then But you guys all had to sit and listen to my music or my singing. You love my singing so much. Anything else that we should talk about here? I don't know whether did I actually buy anything recently. Oh, I noticed this CVC, yeah, but yeah, they come off the lows. It could be another rocket launch setup situation here. Get ready. Woo, look at this side. DNT. Oh boy. Where's the 200 SMA on this thing? I guess it isn't in here yet, but can you guys see? I mean, I look at this and I go, oh Jesus, get ready. You know, you could also argue too that these are setting up some really nice looking triangles. Jesus, guys. Does anybody want to make some money here over the next month or two? Anybody? Is anybody interested in this money crap? Look at that, eh? So nice little closer out above here. Nice little, and really you could argue, geez, that's a structural signal right there. And I remember Kevin was in the lounge. He's really touting one story lately that he just loves. It was looking sort of the same thing. Yeah, so nice little close up here. Jeez, nice little check of that structure level. Top of value. Might be given a gift there. So many wonderful ideas. Ooh, what do we got here? Somebody wants to say, oh, look at that guy. Holy Jesus, look at him. Just sitting there ready to go. Somebody took their cells off of mute because they were about to say something profound. What's on your mind? No? Got chicken shit? Who was that? Look at this one. So pretty. This is, as we said, JoJo's favorite term. I think this is pretty, princess pretty. It's so cliche after a while. You look at this and you just go, geez, can't believe how cliche this all is. Oh, wow, look at that too, eh? Doink, doink. See you later. This thing's about ready to go. Jeez, I sure hope you guys... Oh, look at this guy. Who's this? What's this guy doing? Oh, now that's an interesting one. Does anybody know what the story is here? Just keep an eye on that. See if there's some sort of railroad track reversal there. It's not really the best trade location. Ooh, look at these ones. Oh, look at that bad boy. Jesus. Oh, you can just see them all just setting themselves up. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Yeah. 19, 11. Yeah, got a bit of playground in there. Digi, what's Digi doing these days? Yeah, nothing to get excited about there. All right, let's go look at some of your guys' ideas and maybe send you on your way. I don't know. Has anybody gotten any value out of what I've been saying here recently? Somebody asked about gold BTC on Vault. So if anything, I would argue that gold versus Bitcoin on Vault is coming into a buying window. And if you wanted to add to that position, just be nice and patient. You can see where we're long and another bit of long we picked up. My hunch is probably a nice wash against these levels. And then we'll probably see like a counter trend rally against these levels. And then if the Bitcoin 100,000 kind of scenario plays out, then we probably just, well, actually that would head and shoulders this out. And we might even come down and go to new lows. Please understand, I did not buy this gold trade as a capital or a speculative venture to make money. This was purely, I wanted to take, and it's about 20 grand or so of our portfolio, about 5%, and just put it away in gold. And I wanted to just simply hold on to it. When I actually look at the gold chart, and it's interesting, Thomas was sort of mentioning this. Actually, I don't know whether he mentioned it specifically, but I do remember sort of the tone. I'm feeling like this metals trade is a little bit too heavy on the long side. Too many people want to see gold go up right now. I wonder maybe if it's a bit of a trap. So, given that prognostication, if you were trading this, you can clearly see the W's, you can clearly see the blow off tops. You should have been taking profits up into these windows. As I said, for me, if anything, I'm probably going to be wanting to hunt for this kind of price action over the next month, let's say. And if I want to add any more to our gold hedge, which I think I do, I'm going to probably be looking to be on the buy side should I start getting this kind of action again. So for now, I'm not doing anything in this gold. Remember, I bought it as a nice inflation, well, not inflation hedge, just as a hedge in case Bitcoin really did shit the bed. And I might just go and add some more if Bitcoin has a big rally. Because, the interesting thing is we got, it's almost funny with crypto. It almost makes me laugh, right? Because we spend so much time, and I thought this was amusing, right? Each of these lines, no, it's not this one. Each of these lines on here represents a sale of a half a Bitcoin or a hedging strategy. Bang, 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 right? Bang, 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 bang. And over this period here, we've been handed, I think, about 3/4 of a Bitcoin in altcoin profits. So our Bitcoin balance starts piling up again. We got a couple that are really close to giving us fills. And we're probably going to be adding to that Bitcoin balance again. So ironically enough, even though we buy altcoins and through the trough here, and we've been actually selling some Bitcoin into Tether just to sort of, spread the jelly, our Bitcoin balance is starting to get back up there again. And I might even let them have a bit more Bitcoin up top at the top of this channel up here because of all the profits that we're booking in altcoin land. So it's kind of an odd sort of thing that happens with the altcoins is you sort of, you start getting given too much Bitcoin. You have to start thinking about where am I going to put it? So, should gold come back down into here, I think I might go buy some more gold for TRI. I think that's not a bad idea. And, while we're at it, we should probably take a look at our hedge proxies. We don't own any of this true USD. I'm watching how it's behaving. I do like the fact that it's, it's behaving off of the 99 level. But if Bitcoin does go into a face rip rally, you can kind of see that the hedge vehicle itself is looking a bit heavy. There might be trouble on the horizon with regard to this true USD. So be careful there, guys. I do see that the Tether vehicle seems to be behaving itself rather well. This is our gold proxy, the candle pattern here. I'm not too concerned with that. And I'm really interested. It's nice to see that the Nubit proxy's gone back to 57, 58 cents on the dollar. But I would like to see these Nubit guys get their fucking act together. It's a little embarrassing, frankly. And then try and figure out SBD. I mean, theoretically, this is supposed to be trading at $1, and it sits here now. It seems to want to put in a bottom at about $2 to 1. Why? I have no fucking clue. Does this thing have to come back down to $1 for it to ultimately reset itself? I don't know. It's totally possible. In this regard, on the SBD hedge, we're way ahead of the game. Woohoo, we won. But on this, we're underwater. So this is why it's a good idea to spread the jelly. And I find it amusing. Right now, we've got 0.91 of the Steemit at a huge premium. And we've got 1.2 of the Nubit at a huge discount. So put it all together, and it's basically a wash for us. Go figure. But anyway, so the point is that, yeah, well, and maybe then they'll have like a nice even number, eh? I'm a little concerned because, Thomas was telling us about this. This true USD has not been tested in earnest. And I think, all of these coins need to be tested before you can actually believe in them. And I think that test is now coming. So be careful if you did the true USD. I'm a little concerned with the way how heavy this thing is looking right now. It's looking a little dangerous. Okay, I don't know. I think that's probably about all I want to say today. I've been talking for about an hour and a half. So hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. I'm going to be heading off to Liam relatively shortly. I think we'll leave it at that. So we got a special presentation for you guys tomorrow. Dav and Sen, was it? I can't remember who. It'll be a mystery. We'll keep our imagination open. Shane? Oh, Shane's going to do it with us tomorrow. So, Shane, I'll be seeing you bright and early. Sure, let's try and hook up, let's say, maybe 15 minutes before showtime, just so we all on the same page. And so look forward to that first thing in the morning. On balance, I think the Bitcoin market is still pointing higher, and it looks to me like we're going to end the weekend on a relatively positive note. And let's see how violent these liquidity pushes are going to be here over the next, well, let's say 12 to 24 hours. And then once we head into sort of Tuesday, Wednesday kill zones, then maybe we should start thinking about where they want to take the market next. Okay, guys, why don't we leave it at that for today? Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. Looks like it's nice weather for Liam and I, so can't wait to get out there. Have yourselves an awesome rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.